Greetings, ladies and gents, and welcome to this latest version of Tales from Outer Space, where I take an HFY story from somewhere around the internet and read it aloud for your enjoyment. All the relevant links are down below. Like, subscribe, and all that YouTube comf to help this video and channel grow. Anyways, as always, I hope that you enjoy. I would just like to thank the following Tier 5 patrons and channel members for supporting the channel: Datamagnet and Bob the Dragon. Thank you again. And now, on to the story. Story number 1. Humans are weird, empty your pockets, written by Betty Adams. Fifth Sister was sorting through the various bandage volumes when 43 Trills flew into the medical ward and landed on a shelf above her with an exaggerated sigh. As he didn't signal for her attention, she continued slipping the tubes into their assigned slots. It was very useful, she mused, that the liquid bandages were so versatile. Save for a few rare humans with overactive immune systems, the carbohydrate mix was an excellent source of protection for most injured membranes. She had just finished slotting in the pain tubes into the storage area and had begun to arrange the nutrient additions by target species, when 43 Trills emitted another sigh and flung himself chest down across the shelf so that his head was near her view. But as his binocular eyes were pointed at a comparative anatomy chart on the wall, she continued her task. When he flipped over on his back and proceeded to emit another sigh, she closed the cabinet and turned her center mass to face him. "Can I help you with something, 43 Trills?" she asked. He gave another sigh and flipped over, crossing his wing hooks under his chin and staring at her with what she assumed was a sad expression. "Do Shatar have built-in transport pouches?" he asked in a tone that was noticeably too high for a human staff to hear. "In our environmental suits, of course," she replied. "However, in our daily clothing, we only wear a wrap to cover our reproductive core, and there is no sufficient structural integrity to support transport pouches. So, no." She did not inform him that the Shatar made the choice to avoid the stronger wraps for the explicit purpose of keeping the winged and Tusk from asking for transport. Pointing out his species' general rudeness wasn't something to do when a patient was obviously emotionally depressed. "You probably wouldn't understand then," the winged said, rolling over on his back with another sigh. "Are you emotionally distressed, 43 Trills?" she asked. It was obvious that he was, but she had found that illustrating her own ignorance was usually the best way to get an alien talking about a sensitive subject. "Her wings' stiffness," he admitted, as he began to gloomily groom his sensory horns. "Would you like to inform me as to the reason?" Fifth Sister asked. "I think one of the humans is angry with me," 43 Trills said. "What do you base this observation on?" she asked. "Was the human behaving aggressively towards you?" "Oh," the winged went on in a sad tone. "He, just blocked me." The Shatar was confused and covered it by flicking her dabber out to clean her eyes quickly. "He prevented you from accessing his non-emergency communications account?" she asked. "No," the winged went on. "He physically blocked me." The Shatar strained to bring the lights together. "I do not understand," she said. The wing gave a long, drawn-out sigh that expanded him to nearly half again his size and flopped over a few times to arrange his wings. "Over the course of the past few weeks, he has been filling his pelvic transport pouches with various small items," the wing explained. "It was interesting at first, then it was awkward. Today it reached a point that I could no longer fit inside with all the collected items. It's pretty clear that he is upset with me for something I've done to offend him." The winged suddenly leapt up and began dancing around the room, chittering in distress. The Shatar watched him with concern for a time, tilting her triangular head from side to side to keep him in her field of vision. Meanwhile, she had her fingers busily with the datapad, putting up one of the psychological files of the humans that she recalled from her training. When he had burned off enough of his distress, he fluttered back to the shelf. "I just wish I knew what I'd done to offend him," he said with a tired little chirp. You know how important social presence is to us winged, and with only a wing's worth on the base, and none of us from the same flight. Human transport pouches are just about the closest thing we have. Are you quite certain that this behavior has anything to do with you and your behavior? She asked. What else could it be? The wing demanded. Nothing has changed in the base environment to alter his behavior. Say that he has been the only human on the base for some time since the geological expedition left for the northern hemisphere, said Fifth Sister. Perhaps this might be a symptom of hoarding instincts activating due to stress isolation. I've heard of such things. Do you think? The wing asked, poking up immediately. I think it would be best if we opened a line of communication directly with him, Fifth Sister stated firmly. However, I have heard of this process of slowly filling your pockets with accumulation of interesting objects you find during the day. It appears to be a collection of shiny things, 43 Trills observed. It is mostly broken bolts and scraps of reflective covers. Humans do have an odd affinity for shiny things. That is common in species that depend on open water for hydration, she affirmed. However, my literature suggests that such a manifestation of this was limited to children. If it is the same response, it seems to be inadvertent and might respond to a simple question. 43 Trolls nodded slowly, even as his kinetics became more energetic as his mood rode. I will ask him, he said. Thank you for your analysis, Fifth Sister. She flicked a frill in acknowledgement and resumed sorting the additives as the winged left the room. She did not choose to share the information with the winged, but the reversion to childhood behaviors was often a sign of stress. She wondered if the human required the medically recommended application of snuggles, and who on base would be the best to provide them. End of story. Story number 2. No Longer the Limit. Written by Fluffy Fireman. I've heard these lies before. You mortals have lied before and spun trickery finer than spider silk. Why would I trust you once more? Humanity smiled at this challenge, a final test before the trial ahead. One last thing to conquer. The first man lied to survive. Their descendants lied to progress. Our ancestors lied for profit. And we've all lied to gain. But fear not, this is not a lie. Humanity began, the soul of determination, of progress, of innovation burning in the immortal's own being. We have claimed land for our use, a firm and steady hand bending the very earth to our use. A hand muddy and callous swept over the farms. We tamed our beasts, befriending, herding, and even protecting. A second hand gestured to the loyal canines, led by leash. We have even bent the will of our kind. A nod of acknowledgement, lips formed in a grimace, teeth stained with red. Great Mother Earth has been claimed, our earth supporting our growth, tamed so we might prosper. We have scaled the mountains to the north, crossed the rivers to the east, and delved into the deepest depths to the west, and walked the plains to the south. The collective of humanity now stood together, hands clasped in solidarity. The grand Titan of endurance and astronomy, the great Atlas looked upon the sacred place and nodded. For as long as these young mortals knew, he held the sky behind their grasp, like a father placing sweets just out of reach of a child. Now grown, developed and yearning, these mere children asked for the sky itself. You wish, the Titan began, shoulders old and worn, the stars above a heavy weight upon an aged being, to hold the sky, to be its foundation so that it may rest upon you. The humans smiled at the grizzled being. How young he now seemed before they spoke. We do not wish to hold the sky up in our own grasp. Instead, we shall take your burden, old friend. We shall take your burden and lower it to the earth itself, and move upwards to grasp the stars and tame them. Atlas knew much of the stars overhead, but never had he thought to reach out and touch them. And so he lowered his burden from his tired body, settling it down upon the curious palms of humanity, and watched as they brought it close, rather than hold it away from themselves. Humanity embraced the unknown. End of chapter. And that, my friends, concludes this video. I hope that you enjoyed, and if you do, please consider supporting the author, even by popping over and leaving a thumbs up or a nice comment, just to show your appreciation for the story. However, if you wish to support this channel, there are links down below which will help immensely. I will see you all in the next one, and until then, I hope that you have a fantastic day. Cheers.